Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Conception Channel podcast. I'm your host, Spence Pentland. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, you can also hop over to my YouTube channel, the Conception Channel. It is a slideshow, so it's maybe a little easier to follow along, but absolutely not necessary, as I'm going to talk everything through. So today we're talking about 16 ways to thicken your thin uterine lining. Now, we see this a lot in the clinic over the years. Women that have either taken Clomid and it's made their uterine lining thinner, whether they're in the middle of an IVF or a frozen embryo transfer and their uterine lining isn't measuring up to what the clinic wants it to be, or they've had maybe DNCs in the past that have caused, maybe some scarring and difficulty with the building of the uterine lining, or just simply maybe what's going on, dehydration, the person's constitution, whatever it might be. We've had a lot of success with a lot of these different techniques and treatments and ideas to help thicken a uterine lining. And we're going to just hop right into them so we can get through them here quite quickly. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below or contact me and we can discuss it further personally. So anyway, we're going to hop right in to the first slide, which is titled Parasympathetic. Feed and breed. So the nervous system is extremely important to understand when trying to conceive, and especially when you're faced with the concern of a thin uterine lining. So we're either in, like any animal, we're either in fight or flight, which is the sympathetic, or we're in feed and breed mode, which is, or rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system. So it's not kind of oscillating in between at any time. We're kind of one or the other. It's like an electrical switch. So the more we can put ourselves into that feed and breed or the parasympathetic, the more vital resources are going to get directed to reproductive and digestive systems. So the feed and the breed. So if you have digestive concerns, this is important there too. So anytime we're at rest, for the most part, these vital resources are going to get directed to here, more particularly the uterine lining. So we're going to want to really focus on activities that shift the nervous system into the parasympathetic, into that feed and breed, that rest and digest stage, get us out of the fight or flight. So this is, a 101 as to why you hear, well, you need to relax, to be fertile, which isn't the advice people should give. It should have some background and some tips and tools to go along with it. So here we go. Number one, the most important, the most effective in my experience over time is electrical acupuncture. So it's very proficient at shifting the nervous system into the parasympathetic, out of the sympathetic, which bottom line encourages blood flow to the uterine lining, the reproductive organs. So the blood is the carrier of these vital resources that I mentioned previously that get to the reproductive organs, in particular the uterine lining, could be sperm, egg, but because blood is the delivery mechanism of nutrition and oxygen to every cell, and also plays a role in carrying away waste and detoxifying and just maintaining the environment, the temperature, the nutritional and oxygen load. So we want blood circulation to the uterine lining. It's super easy to implement acupuncture into your life. It's like a reset button each week for those who are wearing that badge of I'm busy. I'm too busy to do X, Y, and Z, too busy. Acupuncture, you just got to peel that hour and 15 minutes out of your life, at least once a week to get to the clinic, lay down, the rest is done for you. A few needles, administered in the right places with the electrical device utilized properly. It's very important because electrical acupuncture devices implemented improperly can actually impede blood circulation. So it has to be done at the right frequencies, etc. But it's, once you're there, you go into that parasympathetic, and it is the best rest reset of most people's weeks. Now, if you're needing to, in a very timely way, improve a uterine lining, in the middle of an IVF or a frozen embryo transfer or something, you may need to come more frequently, up to extreme cases where we'd see people daily for this. But when you stack this with some of the other things we're going to talk about, that's where the real magic happens with improving and thickening the uterine lining. It's also, acupuncture is great because it is effective for treating the whole person. So particularly if you're having difficulty trying to conceive, stress levels are going to be high. If you're in the middle of an IVF, triple, quadruple that. It's also good for balancing hormones, digestion, and whatever else, aches and pains, etc., might ail you. So electrical acupuncture, first thing, find someone you trust that understands reproductive medicine and is treating fertility, and get in there as soon as you can. Second to none, or second to acupuncture, maybe more importantly, because it's something you do every day at home for building a uterine lining, whether it's in the middle of an IVF or not, doesn't matter, is sleep. It's, no matter what the biological function is, sleep plays a major role in its optimization. This every day brings you into an extended period of parasympathetic activity. So into that feed and breed, rest and digest place, which is really what we're striving for here. This is our first main principle. It's also a time when you get to recover from physical and emotional stress. So if you're exercising a lot, fantastic, but you do need to recover, and sleep is the new performance enhancing, drug of elite athletes. So follow their lead. And for emotional stress, if there's stress in your life, if there is emotional weight, sleep is going to be your best daily weapon to help yourself get through it and it have as little impact as possible. So it also enhances the effectiveness of all other treatments that you're going through for the thin uterine lining. So sleep, number one or number two, whichever, acupuncture and sleep, put them together. Another that is extremely impactful and effective at getting us into parasympathetic state is meditation. This meditation's is a practice, or a meditation practice is something that almost any person that is successful in their career field area of life requires to get there. It just seems to be an unbelievably important skill in today's high-paced, stressful world, but a secret ingredient in really achieving other levels of success. And that's ultimately kind of what we're looking for here too. We want to make a baby. There's nothing more fulfilling and successful than that. So meditation is also a great time spent with directing intention and attention inwards to yourself, spending time with you. I know that can be scary. Sometimes you go for a dance with your mind. It can take you a lot of places, but and a lot of people come back to me with, well, meditation's so hard. I get that, but it doesn't have to be. And I've written an article and done previous videos and podcasts. You can see them on the YouTube channel or on podcasts, listen to them on how to make meditation a little bit easier and how to step in. Like it doesn't have to be that Zen thing. You can start to meditate by just taking some time to stare at your window and be calm every day for 5-10 minutes. Like there's lots that can be done. And also a good gateway, and another maybe even more effective, is the next slide here, is breathing. and they can kind of go hand in hand with meditation. But I like to separate them because I really feel like they do have a different impact on the body. Meditation is more for the mind, coming through the mind to the body, and breathing is more using the body to help shift the body and mind. So it's very similar but different. And breathing doesn't have to be trying to get into a meditative state. It'll probably do it for you if you do some breathing practice enough. But bottom line, oxygen is the body's number one source of energy, and sperm and eggs need that energy. The mitochondria in the cell uses the oxygen to produce energy so they can swim and have life. So oxygen, unbelievably important. Most weeks go by. Most people don't think or consciously breathe. Luckily, it's done for us automatically. But if we can enhance and bring in a practice, our body's just going to work more optimally. We give it more oxygen. It's going to be easier for it to create the energy and vitality we need to reproduce, to get pregnant, to thicken our lining here more appropriately. So it brings us into that parasympathetic again. So it's not just improved blood circulation to the reproductive organs. When we have a breathing practice on top of that and we go into that parasympathetic state, we're going to be improving the quality of the blood that's circulating to the lining. So very simple. I mean, we all know how to breathe, but we can step into a practice with some very basic techniques. My two favorite are box breathing. If it can help, Navy SEALs calm down, it helps me. I love it. Very simple. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, and just keep doing that box all through your nose. 4-7-8 is a yoga style of breath. 4 in, 4 hold, 8 out. Very great, both of them, for bringing us into that parasympathetic, and very easy to implement. And just if you're a mouth breather, try and start learning to close your mouth. Breathe through your nose. It'll help you stay in a calmer state. And that is why, breathing partly can be probably one of the best tools that we have just with ourselves to reduce stress. So if you're in a difficult situation, you need to breathe. Joy and laughter. Another I keep saying this is the best for parasympathetic, but let's just keep saying they're all great. And I even put number 1 here for parasympathetic, get you into that feed and breed, is to experience more joy and laughter in your life. So when life gets serious, we got to make this a priority, almost putting it on your list. I love, my wife has this insatiable desire to find things that make her laugh. And I love it because I get the effects of it as well, because, things she shares with me, and joy is something, and gratitude which brings me joy is something that I am very good at. So we help each other in these ways. So enjoy your life. I know, when we're an adult and life gets busy, finances, yada, all kinds of things get stacked on top of each other, financial or family issues, all kinds of stuff. And then add infertility or struggles to getting pregnant. Life gets pretty serious. And one of the best things we can do for our not just our lining, but overall fertility and just life in general, is to put an emphasis on taking life back and enjoying it, doing things we used to do that we loved, and laughing more. It's also, these things are contagious to the people around you. It's hard to hear someone laughing close by and to not at least smile. So it's contagious. So therefore it's going to really improve relationships around you too, because we all know that infertility can cause some stress on relationships. So joy and laughter, schedule that in. More practically here, castor oil packs. So many of you have probably heard about this. Improves blood flow to the uterine lining just by default. And what it does, use it in the follicular phase only, not after ovulation, when you might be pregnant, unless you're taking a cycle when you're not trying to conceive. It's best done in the evening because blood circulation to reproductive organs is enhanced in the evening anyway. So you might as well stack on top of that. Some of these things we'll talk about here, incorporating into a bedtime routine is ideal. So use organic castor oil, rub it on your lower abdomen, kind of between your belly button and your pubic bone. Put a hot water bottle on top of it and sit back and relax as part of your nightly bedtime routine. Femoral massage, another that some of you may have heard of. Again, this encourages blood flow through the reproductive organs. So this is best if you, and I'll explain that in a second, but this is best if you have a partner to help administer it, because it's hard to lay back, get your knees drawn, and put pressure on the femoral artery too. And what this does is you got to find the heartbeat kind of in your groin. That's your big artery. When you put pressure on it, it causes some of the blood to backflow and redirect through your pelvic plexus of arteries and down the other leg, and you go back and forth. So it's a little easier with someone, and it causes a flushing of blood through that area. Again, follicular phase only, and there's some cautionary. Just take caution if you got high blood pressure, risk of thrombosis or blood clots. This might not be the best choice. But this next slide, hot water foot soaks, these can be incorporated with either of the two others, and into that bedtime routine. So put, if you're going to do the castor oil packs, get hot water foot soak ready at the same time. Do it at the same time. Get, essential oils going. Get a meditation ready. Do some breathing. Turn down the lights. Turn your phone on to airplane mode. And put all these things together. The hot water foot soak in particular is going to also improve blood circulation to the uterine lining. We've seen, studies or I personally have seen, research done on rodents that shows this. And usually it is, just using water as hot as you can kind of get out of your tap is going to be substantial, or enough for this. So it's also great for those of you that have poor circulation or cold feet. Warm up before bed feels great. You have a nice cozy sleep. And I think we said sleep was important. Maybe it was the most important. Maybe it was second with acupuncture, with breathing. Anyway, joy, laughter. Moving on. So that's the bedtime routine. Start incorporating some of those things. Supplements. Just a couple here. I mean, we could go down a lot of rabbit holes here, but essentially omega-3 essential fatty acids that are high in EPA, important, bring down inflammation, improve blood circulation. Vitamin D, there's also been some research on it improving uterine lining. And it may or may not be more essential as well at certain times in the year. You're going to have to kind of experiment with that, and it can be taken. You don't want to take too much, so maybe get your levels checked. And finally, L-arginine, or and I've got in brackets here L-citrulline, and I'll explain that in the next slide with glutathione and L-citrulline. But L-arginine is helps the body produce nitric oxide, which is going to improve blood circulation by delivering nutrition, oxygen to various tissues, and so arginine is extremely important here. And let's move on really quickly to the next slide, which is titled Glutathione and Citrulline, because it'll further extrapolate and explain arginine and citruline's importance here. So glutathione, also, if you're been trying to conceive for a while, you may have heard this of this supplement or injection. Usually it's a tripeptide, 3 amino acids, which form glutathione. We have to create it in our body, and it's basically regarded as our master antioxidant. So it helps protect our cells. For sperm egg quality, there's some pretty good literature on the connection here. So glutathione is something you should look into anyway. But as far as the uterine lining thickness is concerned, when it's combined with citrulline, it has been shown to produce more nitric oxide than arginine, and more arginine than supplementing with arginine alone. Okay, so glutathione and citrulline in combination is something to consider very strongly. Nitric oxide, again, it improves blood circulation and delivery of nutrients to and oxygen to tissues, and helps with the uterine lining. And that is the mechanism of Viagra, and why some women may be recommended Viagra if they're experiencing difficulties with uterine lining thickness. So glutathione, citrulline. And moving on to the next slide, because they all kind of combine together, is intravenous therapy or IV therapy. This is done through naturopaths, typically naturopathic doctors. This is a big piece of our thin uterine lining protocol, because, like I said just previously, citrulline and glutathione can improve arginine levels more than taking arginine alone, unless you're going to deliver it directly into the blood through intravenous therapy. So taking L-arginine, the amino acid, directly into the blood via intravenous therapy is a good option. As well, you're going in for an IV, you're not going to just get arginine, you're going to get other vitamins, antioxidants, and minerals that could be of benefit to the quality of the blood, the quality of the uterine lining, and the delivery of nutrition to the eggs. At our clinic, we administer it at the same time as acupuncture. So you get this combined effect, which is wonderful in the delivery. It gets into that parasympathetic and delivers right to where you want it, into the uterus and reproductive organs. Moving on to another Chinese herbal medicine, one of my personal favorites. I'm a Chinese herbalist. I love using Chinese herbal medicine with people who are willing. It can improve and invigorate blood circulation. It can direct blood circulation and energy directly to the lower abdomen. So if you know what you're doing with the herbal medicine, you can also help direct the effect of that formulation that you're using to certain parts of the body. They can obviously reduce inflammation, which is a big cause of poor blood circulation and blood flow. It also, like the acupuncture, would treat the whole person. So if there are other issues going on, like poor digestive concerns, so you're not pulling the nutrition from the food to deliver to the uterine lining or the eggs, it can help there as well. And it's got a huge history of effectiveness. So you can kind of put your faith in traditional Chinese herbal medicine, just like you would in the acupuncture, from its long track record of empirical proof. Another important piece, I think, to also add to, circling back to the bedtime routine, would be stretches or yoga poses that are primarily meant to open the pelvic region. So this improves blood circulation to the area. I mean, let's face it, we spend a lot of our days sitting down, and that impeded blood circulation could be impacting, the resources getting to the uterine lining here quite substantially. So not only getting up and exercising, which we all should be doing, but stretches and poses that can open that area are important. Again, incorporate it into your bedtime routine with the castor oil packs, the essential oils, the meditation, the foot soak, enjoy your nighttime. At least try and incorporate it a few days a week instead of your Netflix or Amazon Prime or Apple TV or whatever late night binging you're doing. Try and maybe replace with this bedtime routine, especially if you're in the middle of an IVF. A couple ideas to look at if you're just listening are the pigeon pose or cow face pose. These are good ones to consider. Next would be foods to eat and to avoid. So avoid sour foods, such as yogurt, vinegar, pickles, grapefruit, currants, and green apples. Avoid foods that cause inflammation. These are all going to astringe blood and impede blood circulation. Conversely, increase blood building foods such as eggs, nuts, roots, carrots, spinach, dates, goji berries. Also increase blood invigorating foods. So that was building foods. So also increase blood invigorating foods such as fish, ginger, cinnamon, turmeric. And finally, aspirin, something that would have been asked about. And this needs to be recommended under the advice of a trusted healthcare professional. This is not medical advice. This is a medication. But when it is taken to help thin the blood, it's 81 milligrams per day. It improves the delivery of blood, nutrition, oxygen, etc., to the uterine lining, just the same way it would and reason a person with the risk of heart attack would take it, to ensure continued blood flow to the heart muscle. So circling back, if you've got any questions, you put them into the comments or get a hold of me somehow, and we can either book a consult or I'll try and answer as much as I can. There's on yinstill.com, there's a lot more information on a lot of these things. On Conception channel on YouTube, there's a lot more videos that talk about these things individually, but those are a quick 16 ways to thicken your thin uterine lining. I hope that helped.